time now for our Rants and Raves. And this week we are going to start with Dan Kennedy.
I have a rave for one of our outstanding journalism students at Northeastern University, Anera Pateri, who won the trip with Nicholas Kristof to report from Africa for the New York Times this year. She just got back. She has been doing a tremendous job of reporting from Liberia on people who have suffered from flesh-eating bacteria, a craftsman who has been able to continue with his work despite suffering tremendous disfigurement of his hands because of leprosy. She has an incredibly bright future ahead of her, and good for her.
All right. Next up is Joanna.
So I have a rant against a number of broadcast news networks who have been for quite some time gaming the Nielsen ratings by misspelling the names of their shows. So on a night, say the 4th of July, when you don't think as many people are going to watch the NBC nightly news, in your ratings or you report to Nielsen, you call it the NBC NITELY news, and suddenly it doesn't count against your average, and you look better than you had been, which makes advertisers a little upset when they find out about it. So this has been going on for years, but apparently getting worse. Next week, Nielsen has called a meeting with TV industry executives to talk about it, so the practice might be going away.
So you mentioned NBC Nightly News, however you want to spell it, doing this. Are they an actual offender?
They are. That's what they did. There's also ABC World News Tonight, WRLD.
CBS has done it as well.
Yeah. I think this is a common gaming tactic. I think Nielsen knew about it for years, but people have noticed it's happening more. Entire weeks of programming go by with these weird names.
I thought this was a tactic my cousin used on eBay because people can't spell, so that she used to get great deals. I didn't know this was a media thing. All right, is it my turn?
It is your turn.
Okay.
Terrific transition.
All right, so the Providence Journal has hired a new pro-Trump columnist, so I am rant and rave on this. So I'm rave because I believe there should be all kinds of voices in the public space, and people should hear them. I really do believe that. And even despite my mail, I want to hear from other people who do not agree with me. I do. And I learn a lot from them. What I'm concerned about is it seems to me there's a pattern now on, and by the way, the Providence Journal made a very strong case for hiring this Victor Davis Hanson. And they say we have.
Looks nice.
He's very well respected. He's historian, Stanford University's conservative Hoover Institution. They have a raft of conservative columnists, but they say all of them are never Trumpers. So they felt to really open this up and to respond to their critics, let's have a guy here who is a pro-Trumper. Well, okay. But I get a little nervous about how are we going to keep slicing this, piece of cheese down to this kind of thing. If you have some really good, and they credit their other really good columnists who are writing well and can write about the policies, I don't know that, what does it mean to be pro-Trump? You know what I mean? That makes me a little bit nervous. I don't know where this goes. It doesn't mean, don't write me, I want to hear all voices. If he had been one of the regular columnists to begin with, no problem with me, but I would have thought it odd for them to then go find never Trumper columnists the same way. Just weird to me.
Take your point, but my sense is that in the conservative media ecosystem that the quote-unquote never Trumpers are maybe overrepresented compared to where Republicans are and conservatives are nationally. So it's a tricky one.
I guess I'm thinking, well, how do you, because it should be focused on President Trump's policy. Like, give me the conservative take on his policy, which may disagree with other liberal columnists' take. But now when you put another twist on it, and so everything has to be from a pro-Trump lens, are we going to get a I'm just concerned about, I don't know. People can disagree with me.
It's very much what CNN did when all their conservative folks were not for Trump in the primary, and they hired Jeffrey Lord and a variety of other people who
Right.
argue about whether
you see how that turned out.
And you want people who are going to call them as they see them, I think is what you're saying.
Yes, and so it's weird. And it seems to me this is a little bit of a pattern of what we've seen happening in the New York Times or whatever. I know people are trying to figure out how do we make that space, more
inclusive.
More inclusive. I get that. I'm all about that. I just, like I said, rant and rave.
All right, Josh, what do you got?
Mine is a loving rant about some listeners of some people who follow the NPR Twitter account. For almost 30 years, NPR has had a tradition of airing on Morning Edition their hosts and reporters reading out the entire Declaration of Independence. It's a lovely tradition that a lot of their hosts and their journalists get involved with. And this year they decided, hey, we have an audience on Twitter. Why don't we tweet out the Declaration of Independence as well? Well, there are a number of people who are supporters of the president who did not take well to tweets about how the tyrannous despot who needs to be separated from and overthrown. So they started responding to the Declaration of Independence with things like, so NPR is calling for revolution. Interesting way to condone violence while trying to sound patriotic. Glad you are being defunded. You have never been balanced on your show. And, of course, fake news. So this just a remarkable sign of the kind of polarization that we have, that the Declaration of Independence, the founding document of our nation. The
founding document.
It's not just a founding, it's the founding.
Although in their defense, I would say like one tweet that out of context would come across as a little weird.
There you go, blaming Twitter again.
No, it's all Twitter's fault.
We don't have full time for my rant tonight. I wanted to show some video of Congressman Clay Higgins of Louisiana, your home state, I believe, who
my home congressman
traveled to Auschwitz and made a selfie video talking about how what he saw there demonstrated the need for staunch homeland security measures here in the U.S. Horrendous, poor taste, and he has since apologized for it.